Today we're going to be talking about a lens that just kind of confuses me, and we'll get to why that is. This video is sponsored by KEH Camera. Because of my relationship working with KEH for a number of years now, I have the unique privilege of being able to try out for a couple of weeks pretty much any gear in their inventory. So recently I was just browsing their site looking at their M-mount lenses that I thought I could try out for a couple of weeks and share a video, and I was looking for something a little out of the ordinary, something I haven't tried before, and also just trying to find something on the more affordable side, and I found something that checks all three of those boxes, and I'm still not sure about it. I really wanted to see who this lens was for, who might benefit from a lens like this, and I think after shooting with it for a couple of weeks, I'm further away from an answer than I was before. This is the 7artisans 35mm f5.6 pancake lens, and this is in the M mount. I think the main appeal of this lens right out of the gate is the fact that it's a pancake lens. The size of this thing is incredibly compact, and I think that's why most people buy any pancake lens on the market. It's not necessarily about the optics or anything, it's specifically for that compact size. I've owned a few different pancake lenses of different mounts and different systems over the years, and this is by far the most compact one I have ever tried. The body of this lens itself, like everything beyond the lens mount, it's like half the size of the rear lens cap that this thing ships with. So what is packed into such a small, tiny form factor? Well, not much. This is an f5.6 lens, and I don't mean that's just the fastest aperture you can use. I mean that's the only aperture you can use. You can't stop the lens down any more than that. It is a fixed aperture of f5.6. So you have a 35mm focal length, an f5.6 lens, and this is in the M mount. So this is made specifically for the Leica M system. However, this lens is not rangefinder coupled, meaning you're not going to be able to actually focus with the rangefinder when you mount this to an M camera. If you're using a digital M, you're going to have to focus using live view, whether that be through the rear LCD or an EVF. And if you're using this on a film M, you're not going to be able to focus, with anything really other than scale focusing. You're just going to set your distance on the lens itself. And again, fixed aperture of f5.6, so that is specifically the depth of field that you're going to be working with. Now, because this lens isn't rangefinder coupled, your minimum focus distance isn't locked to the 0.7 meters or 1 meter that you typically find in a rangefinder or M-mount lens. Because this lens doesn't have to rely on the rangefinder, you can actually focus close with this lens up to 0.3 meters, which is a lot closer. However, when you're focusing that close, this tiny little front element of the lens does extend out quite a bit in order to achieve focus, but when it sticks out that far, it's going to be a lot more likely that you deal with lens flare, and this lens flares extremely easily. If you're shooting into the light or really anywhere remotely into the light, even if the light is coming in from the side, this lens is going to flare like crazy. And some lenses, it is fun to kind of shoot into the light and play with that lens flare a little bit just to add a different aesthetic to it. But this lens is just not one of them. It's just not pleasing to look at, in my opinion. It has just this kind of streak going across the lens, and it ends up just washing everything out, and it's really hard to recover that in post. However, if you are conscious of this from, avoiding shooting into the light, or even if it's coming in from the side and you kind of shield the lens with your other hand, you can get some decent results from that. I do think the close focusing ability and just the results of the close focusing with this lens is really where it shines. It's much sharper at that range. I would typically be sticking to 0.3 meters, maybe 1 meter, and just working within that range. And even with an f5.6, getting that close to the subject, whatever you're focusing on, you can still get some nice separation there between the subject and the background. And I do think it has a nice look when you're in that close focus range. Focusing at a longer distance all the way to infinity, it just doesn't feel nearly as sharp as it does when you're focusing up close. And there's nothing like distinguishable or anything benefiting from this lens using that for far away subjects. So as a result of that, I found myself just avoiding shooting anything remotely far away and just kind of sticking to that close range with this lens. So who would buy this lens? Who is this lens actually for? I think just the sheer novelty of this lens might be appealing to some people. While I typically don't hoard cameras and have a bunch of different cameras at any given time, I do see the appeal of building up like a lens collection just in terms of the variety out there, not just in the focal lengths, but lens design, the characteristics of the lens, and especially for the price. This lens brand new is $129, and you can actually find it cheaper than that for the Sony E mount or Nikon Z mount. It comes in a number of different mounts, not just the M mount. So it is a budget-friendly option. It's definitely a pretty affordable lens in the grand scheme of things in the M mount. However, if you look at other lenses, even from 7artisans in the M mount and even in the 35mm focal length, you don't really have to spend that much more to get a much more versatile lens. $200 to $250 for a 35mm f2 lens from 7artisans, $300 for a 35mm f1.4 lens from 7artisans. Both of those lenses are rangefinder coupled. They also have variable apertures as well, with faster apertures at that. But those lenses aren't pancake lenses. They're much bigger than this lens is. So what about the Voigtlander 35 f2.5 color scope R lens? That's a pancake lens that brand new is $400, and you can find it closer to $300 if it's used. That was the first lens I ever had for my M6 10 years ago, and I've shot some of my favorite photos. A lot of the photos in my book, Friend of Mine, those were made with that Voigtlander lens, and it's incredibly affordable. So it's not really the most versatile lens out there, to say the least. It's not rangefinder coupled. You have one aperture to work with. The lens flares like crazy. It's not that much more affordable than other similar lenses from 7artisans and even Voigtlander. It's not the only pancake lens in the M-mount system. Why does this lens exist? I don't get it. It's a head scratcher for me. I think there are far better options from, 7artisans, Voigtlander, the lenses I mentioned here today. But we all have different tastes and interests. It's all fun. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to tell you what to do here. So use whatever lens you'd like. This is an oddball for me. So it's not the lens for me, but regardless, I still had fun trying it out and just sharing everything here with all of you. So big shout out to KEH Camera for loaning me this lens for a couple of weeks and for sponsoring this video. KEH Camera has been buying, selling, and trading used photography gear for over 4 decades. A camera shop that's dedicated to helping photographers improve their craft while also promoting sustainability. Buying pre-owned gear and extending that life cycle of the gear, you're not only saving money, but you're also helping reduce the number of items that end up in landfills. Their inventory is huge, so you can shop for some of those ultra rare items or even some of the most popular cameras and lenses today. You can shop knowing that this pre-owned gear from KEH has been thoroughly cleaned, tested, and graded before your purchase. Along with a free 180-day warranty and a 21-day return policy, you can shop with peace of mind. As a special offer for all of my viewers, KEH has provided exclusive discount codes and links for your first order and a bonus if you choose to sell your gear. Anytime you're shopping with KEH, be sure to use the links and codes down below. It goes a long way at supporting the channel at no extra cost to you. So thank you again to KEH Camera for sponsoring this video and for supporting this channel. That's all for today. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts of your own on this lens. Does this lens appeal to you? I would be curious, like, who this lens really appeals to. So let me know down below. Also, let me know if there are any lenses you'd like to see featured here on the channel where I could shoot with it for a couple of weeks and just share whatever I find. I think it'd be a lot of fun to just kind of keep exploring different lenses in KEH's inventory. So let me know about that, but thank you all again for watching. That's it for today. Love you guys.